Devaki Paramanandam Krishnam Vande Jagadgurum Samastajana Kalyani Niratam Karunamayam Namami Chinmayam Devam Sadgurum Brahma Vidguram. There is only, why we said last time, there is no creation. Because creation is not possible. Why it is not possible? The whole finite, this is highly technical, what I'm talking. This is called law of infinite regress in English. In Sanskrit, anavastha dosha. What I'm going to say. The finite should have a cause. The finite should have a cause. That cause cannot be again infinite. If that's also a finite, it should have another cause. That means you will not be able to arrive at the real cause. That's called logical absurdity. If you can't arrive at. Same thing in Sanskrit, it's called anavastha dosha. Avastha, trying to find the location. Anavastha, you are not able to find the location. Anavastha dosha. So it boils down that the finite should have an infinite cause. If it is infinite, it has to be at all times and at all places. Otherwise, if we had boundaries, it becomes finite. If something is there at all times, at all places, there is no space also, there is nothing other than that to create. To create, you need space. To create, you need space. If originally what was there was infinite, there is nothing other than that. Therefore, creation is not possible. Then what about all that we are seeing, or illusions? What is an illusion? When you do not see a thing as it is, you see it differently. When you do not see a rope, you see it as a snake because you are seeing it. You are seeing it, but not seeing it as a rope. Then you are seeing, you have to see it differently because you are seeing something and you do not know it's a rope. So you imagine it to be something different. This imagination is projected by your mind. This imagination of a snake on a rope is projected by your mind. Because somebody can project that rope to be a garland. Somebody can project that rope to be a crack on the floor. Therefore, when you do not see a thing as it is, your mind always projects something else. Ajnana, ignorance of a thing, projects something else, vikchepa, because it's covered, avarana. The rope is covered to me as a rope, and then my mind projects on that a snake. Avidya has two aspects, avarana and vikshepa. Thus, the world is a projection. The world is a projection of my mind. Since all our problems, sorrows, challenges belong to this world itself is a projection of my mind. All my sorrows are also projections of my mind. Very difficult to digest. But is it impossible? No. When you can totally detach from the mind, feel the presence of the self like you do it in sleep. In waking, if you can do that. In sleep, you have totally detached from the mind and you are yourself. If you can bring that state of sleep into waking, it's called samadhi. To bring the state of sleep into waking is called samadhi. So it is possible. We have any number of Mahatmas who have vouched for it. They have no reason to bluff it. And not only that, you try to practice even for a split second, you yourself will know. Even you can know. It's not impossible to know. Just turn your mind through holding your breath. Do not breathe for a few seconds. The mind won't work. Where the mind won't work, you have no perceptions. Even if your eyes are open, everything is open, your mind is blank. Your mind is blank. So all projections belong to the mind. And when the mind is not there, your sorrows are not there like in sleep. It is difficult, people say, because they are not able to leave their attachment to false world. It is not difficult because it is impossible. Because of your attachment to the false world, you are not able to detach. So, how do I do this? Though knowledge is not a process, if you are a prepared student, when Dakshinamurti showed this, the Sishyas got the knowledge, body, mind, intellect, I, the ego, are nothing but this Sachidananda, right? I am different from the body, mind, intellect. I am the Sachidananda. This is called Chin Mudra, right? I am different from the body, mind, intellect. I am this Sachidananda, right? This is not difficult for people who are pure. Pure means minimum vasanas are very, very minimum. That is all purity. Pure means minimum vasanas. For people with minimum vasanas, even a symbol is enough. Or Guru says one word, Tattvamasi, that's enough for him. Guru says Tattvamasi, that is enough. If you are not ready, you don't have to create God that you are. You don't have to create the knowledge that's also you are. You only have to prepare the instrument. You only have to prepare the instrument. This preparation of the instrument is called yoga. This preparation of the instrument is called yoga. When vasanas are too much, you do it through karma yoga. When vasanas are least, through contemplation, jnana yoga. when neither too much or too little bhakti yoga. Right? So now Arjuna is a man of, he is a dynamic man in the war field. So his vasanas are really too many. Because in the battlefield, fighting with people for property and all that, with lot of likes and dislikes for Kauravas. So therefore, for him, he has to prepare the mind through karma yoga. That is why he was not able to see. So now, Krishna, having given the Brahma Vidya, starts the Yoga Shastra, because at the end of each chapter, Brahma Vidyayam Yoga Shastre. Two aspects. Brahma Vidya, the philosophy. Yoga Shastre, the religion. Yoga Shastra, religion. So Krishna is giving Arjuna Karma Yoga. He has said in two important verses in this chapter, Sukha dukkhe same krutva labha labho jaya jayo tato yuddhaya yujyasva naivam papam avapsasi. What makes you miss this, your being, is the waves of the mind created by the pairs of opposites like sukha, dukkha, joys and sorrows, labha, labha, profit and loss, mana, avamana, honor and dishonor. These waves are hiding it. So subside those waves. Then you will be able to feel the self. And how to subside them? Karmanyevadikaraste ma phaleshu kadachana. The waves are formed because of your attachment to results. Work is not merely to gain the results. Work mainly is meant to purify you. So Swamiji says, it's not that much important what you get out of work as it is important to what you become out of work. Not what you gain out of work, what you become out of work. So he says, do not be attached to results. You have no control over results. You have only control over actions. Do not have a fixed result, so obsessed by a fixed result. All this is possible when you are Atmavan. Turn your attention to the self. Leave your unwanted, excessive attachment to yoga and kshema. Yoga to gain what you do not have, kshema to preserve what you have got. So this is telling in the next verse, Yogastaha kuru karmani sangam tyaktva dhananjaya siddhya siddhyo samo bhutva samatvam yoga uchyate. Yogastaha, staying in this karma yoga, kuru karmani, do all your actions. Sangam tyaktva dhananjaya. Sangam, attachment. Attachment is I plus I want, desire for the fruits, dependency on them is called attachment. Sangam tyaktva dhananjaya. So there seems to be a contradiction. He says, leave attachment to the world, but he praises Arjuna as Dhananjaya, the one who has acquired lot of wealth. How does both correlate? Detachment and wealth. That is because wealth is not a problem. Your attachment to wealth is a problem. Wealth is not a problem. Your attachment to wealth is a problem. Sangam tyatva dhananjaya siddhya siddhyo samo bhutva, keeping the mind equanimous in both success and failure. Samatvam yoga uchyate. This balancing the mind, harmonizing the mind, keeping the mind in equanimity is called yoga, karma yoga. The essence of karma yoga is to keep the mind in balance, in equanimity, in harmony with the opposites, in equanimity with the opposites. And again he says, Durena Hyavaram karma, Buddhi yoga dhananjaya, Buddhau sharanamanvicha, Krupana palahetava. Durena hi avaram karma, Buddhi yoga. These rituals, these karmas are all inferior to knowledge, Buddhi yoga. Therefore, take recourse to your intellect. Means what? Bring the mind under the control of the intellect. Bring the mind under the control of the intellect. Durena Hyavaram karma, Buddhi yoga dhananjaya, Buddhau sharanamanvicha, Krupanaha palahetava. People who work for results are misers, miserable people. A real rich man, very rich man, he produces, he goes on starting new ventures for his bringing the creativity in him. His joy is in bringing the creativity, not the results what you get, because he has enough money. So, who is that is bothered about results? A poor man. A poor man has to be worried about the results. A rich man need not worry about the results. But is it always true? A rich man can be poor, a poor man can be rich. Meditate on this sentence. A rich man can be poor in attitude, a poor man can be rich in his attitude. Right? So, if you are obsessed with the results, you are missing a greater, infinite treasure in you. So, what are you doing? Missing this treasure to pennies. That's why it's called penny wise, pound foolish. That's why he's called a miser. What he has in himself, he doesn't tap, he doesn't use. He has in himself, but he doesn't tap it. So he's a miser. Swamiji says, you have money in the pocket, you are hungry, you don't eat in the hotel, you drink water and come away saying, I will take my food at home. Then you have the money, you have the need, you don't spend. So you have this self in you, which is so rich, you don't tap it, go after paltry results. Then you are a miser. And what happens to a miser? He becomes miserable. The word is connected. Miser, miserable. Sanskrit also same thing. Krupana, miser. Karpanya, misery. Krupana, miser. Karpanya, misery. बुद्धि युक्तो जहातीह उभे सुकृत दुष्कृते तस्माद् योगाय युज्यस्व योगः कर्मसु कौशलम. Renouncing your attachment to actions done well, not done well, fruitful, not fruitful. Do actions for the sake of integrating the mind and intellect, which is called yoga. And when you do that, automatically your actions will bring the best results. your actions will bring the best results. So he says, Yogaha karmasu kaushalam. Dexterity in action is called yoga because you have integrated the mind and intellect. Earlier, he defined samatvam yoga uchyate. Equanimity of the mind is yoga. Now he is defining dexterity in action is yoga. Now, which is to be taken? He has given two definitions for the same yoga. Now, what has to be taken? That means there is some connection between them. Samatvam yoga uchyate. Equanimity is yoga. And when you are equanimous, you become dexterous. So they are not two different things. They are not two different things. Yoga karmasu kaushalam. And kaushalam is a beautiful word. It's not that dexterous means a pickpocket. If he is not caught by a police, he is dexterous. That's not yoga. After doing a crime, if you are not caught by the police, you are dexterous. That's not yoga. So dexterous means what? Kushalam means holistic well-being. It's not one aspect. That which brings good to all our dimensions, body, mind, intellect, and the spirit. That's called kushalam. That capacity is called kaushalam. Now, he is slowly entering into the topic of meditation, jnana. Why? Please see this sequence. He has talked about the self. Then he given the means to prepare the instrument, karma yoga. And now having given the tips to prepare the instrument, he is now again giving the way to actualize this teaching through bhakti yoga and jnana yoga, dhyana yoga, all the three yogas put together. Bhakti yoga, jnana yoga, dhyana yoga. That's the content of Stita Prajna portion. Last 18 verses are called Stita Prajna portion. Prajna, intelligence. Stita, steady. It doesn't oscillate. Stita Prajna. These 18 verses which are going to come are masterpieces in poetry. They have some examples you will not find anywhere else because normally in all religions there are some examples which are common, like the tree, chariot. Several examples are common in many religions, but some of the examples given here are unique. Also, Gurudev says it's a word painting. What is a word painting? A painting can show movement. A horse, you can feel in a painting, horse running. You can feel it. In sculpture, you can see four dimensions, but you can't see movement. So bringing both the aspects of painting and sculpture, Veda Vyasa here into these 18 verses, it's called word painting. He brings motion into his words. You can feel the three dimensions, four dimensions, and motion through these 18 verses created by master of intelligence. Veda namostute Vyasa Vishala Buddhi. Vishala Buddhi, extensive, infinite intelligence. Right? Because he is Sachat Narayana himself. Right? So, he is entering there, and as an introduction to start the topic of Tita Prajna, what is Tita Prajna? He is describing in the next two verses. Karmajam buddhi yukta hai phalam tyakva manishinaha janma bandha vinirmuktaha padam gachanti anamayam. When you renounce your attachment to actions, you go to that blemishless, infinite state of bliss. Yada te mohakalilam buddhir vyatitarishyati tadagantasi nirvedam srotavyasya srutasya cha. Yada, when te, yours, mohakalilam, perplexed, confused, covered by delusion, buddhihi, intelligence, vyatitarishyati, when your intelligence goes beyond the confused mind, when your intelligence goes beyond the confused mind, delusion, tadagantasi, then nirvedam, srotavyasya srutasya cha, you become indifferent to whatever you have heard or what you are going to hear, because you have no more delusion that can give you happiness. You are not enamored by what all people said about that. You are not going to be enamored but what all people are going to say about that, because you have no value for it. See, after the class, whoever wants to invest in shares, please contact me. Who are going to do it? You are not going to do it because you have no interest. You have no interest, right? You have gone beyond whatever you have heard about share market. You are going to be indifferent to whatever I am going to blabber on share market because you have no interest, right? So one who has tasted that absolute bliss has no more interest in finite joys and sorrows, and therefore he becomes indifferent to whatever he has heard or going to hear. Nirvedam means indifference. Indifference is not a negative attitude here. Indifference because he is in such a high pedestal, these things do not interest him. So that is the state of Sthita Prajna. Shruti Vipratipannate Yadastasyate Nischala Samadhav Achala Buddhihi Tada Yoga Mavapsasi. When you hear contradictory statements, you are not perturbed, then you have reached the state of perfect, balanced, matured understanding. People can talk so many things, but your mind is clear. Nothing can upset you. Nothing can upset you because you are seeing the truth. Nobody can tempt you. See? So, Shruti Vipratipanna, you hear contradictory statements. That is good, this is good, even about Vedanta. Hey, have you read Shankara Bhashya? No. Ayyo, what you have read in Vedanta, waste. Huh? Somebody says, have you read Sri Bhashya? Extraordinary, I believe. Ramanuja's Brahma Sutra Bhashya, Sri Bhashya, I believe it's superb. Have you read it? No. Ayyo, what you have wasted 40 years in Vedanta. Enough. One statement is enough to feel you are useless. A man who has experienced God will not be perturbed by Shankara Bhashya or Ramanuja Bhashya. Gurudev puts it beautifully. When somebody says, If you have not read Shankara Bhashya, you have no realization. Then Gurudev says, then Shankara could have not got realization because he could have not read his own Bhashya. Right? So Bhashyas are all talking about your experience. A person who is blessed by a Guru points out and he gets the experience. He is not perturbed by contradictory statements. Right? So Shruti Vipratipannate Yadhastasthiti Nischala Samadhau Achala Buddhi Tadha Yogam Avapsasi. Then you have come to master the mind. Now Arjuna is asking a pertinent question because he is a practical man, man of the world. So when you said this is the highest state, now he says, I want to get it. A king always wants to get the best. If there is a best house, he says, go and get it for me. If he wants money, you give it, but I want the house. That's the attitude of a king. If some good house is there, he must get it. He is willing to pay. If some good lady is there, he must get it. This is what all our kings were doing. Right? So Arjuna being a king, Krishna says this is the best. He says, I want it. And now how do I get it? He says, firstly tell me. I would like to see somebody who has got it. So that I gain faith, I can emulate him. I gain faith, I can emulate him. So he is asking Krishna, please give me some, please give me some details or some symptoms of such a man so that I can follow him. Arjunovacha sthita pragnasya ka bhasha samadhistasya keshava sthitadi kim prabhaseta himasita vrajeta kim. Arjuna says, Prajahati yada Arjuna asks, Sthita pragnasya ka bhasha. What is the definition of such a man of steady understanding? What is the state of mind when it is steady, samadhi? Such a man of steady wisdom, how does he talk? Kim prabhasheta? Kim asita? How does he sit? Kim brajeta? How does he move? Question looks stupid. Because a gnani also walks on his two legs. How does he walk? How does he speak? How does he sit? Seems to be ridiculous questions. But no. Arjuna wanted first some symptoms through which he can recognize, number one. Number two, these words are symbolic. How does he speak? When he asks, how does he act? How does he sit? How does he behave when he is alone? Rajeta, when he moves in society, how does he move? Vrajeta, how does he walk means when he moves amongst the world, what is his attitude? When he is alone, what is the state of his mind? When he interacts, how does he conduct himself? These are the questions. Bhagavan says, the question looks stupid. Bhagavan cannot give a direct answer to this. Because a man of steady wisdom or a realized person is not through his physical appearance or through physical activity. He is beyond even the body, mind, intellect. You cannot explain to him because we can only explain things which we can see, which have qualities. This person is living in a dimension where all the known data for us are not there. So you cannot describe such a person who has no qualities because words can only describe what has qualities. So Bhagavan cannot give a direct answer but give pointers. Following the pointers, you can reach the pointed. Following the pointers, you can reach the pointed. So he is saying, Prajahati yada kaman sarvan partha manogatan atmaniyeva atmana tustaha stita prajnasta tada uchyate. Stita prajnaha tada uchyate. When he has cast off all his desires, Prajahati yada kaman sarvan partha manogatan, that are cropping up in his mind. Atmaniyeva atmana tustaha. One who finds his fulfillment in himself. Prajahati yada kaman sarvan partha manogatan atmaniyeva atmana tustaha tita prajnaha tada uchyate. He is called a man of steady wisdom. Casting of all desires. So what for to live? Through desires only you get happiness. So here, when you say casting of all desires, you have desires for what you don't have. You feel you don't have something because you feel you are the body, mind, intellect. They are finite and therefore they are inadequate. Therefore, you feel you need something, desire. So, cause of desire is your feeling you are the body, mind, intellect, ignorance of the spirit. Ignorance of the spirit results in desires at the intellectual level and actions at the physical level. So when he says he has no desires, he is saying he has no ignorance. He is full and complete in himself. He gets his total joy from himself, not from the outside world. Therefore, Atmanayeva Atmana Tustaha. Such a man's wisdom is steady when he is experiencing infinite bliss in himself, when he is not carried away or having the sense of inadequacy as body, mind, intellect. When he is full in himself, that man's intelligence is supposed to be steady. So this is a definition. He said definition. Now he asked, when you don't probably court, but when things come to you, dukkha and sukha, you are keeping quiet, but dukkha and sukha come. What will you do? Dukkeshu anudvignamanaha sukeshu vigataspruhaha vitaraga bhaya krodhaha titadihi muniruchyate. Dukkeshu, sorrow comes, anudvignamanaha. It doesn't say he doesn't move. He's not a stone. He is also a heart. When some young child dies, neighbor or something, he is not a stone to say all Maya. He is moved. But he comes back quickly. Resilience. Resilience. He knows this is all necessary in the path of growth. God takes care of him. So he prays for him and comes back to his center. This is called anudvignamanaha, not unduly perturbed. When dukkha comes, he is not lost in sorrow. Sukeshu, when some little joys come, you lose completely your this thing, and you are in your own imaginary dream world of excitement. He is not he is not lost in excitement. He is not lost in sorrow. He is not lost in excitement. Both he sees as a mirror. Swamiji says, a mirror reflects everything, rejects nothing, receives everything, keeps nothing. He is a mirror. When sorrowful news comes, for a second, oh, you Om Shanti. When good news comes, God, I'm happy. That's all. He's not carried away. That is called steady wisdom. Okay, now you said when dukkha comes or sukha comes, they are not coming, but he is moving. He sees all things, unpleasant things, very, things that are not conducive to his peace. When he is moving, what happens? Dukkha and sukha are the effects. The cause of them is shubha and ashubha, auspicious, inauspicious. So when the effects come, how does he behave? At the level of the cause, Subha and Asubha, how does he react? Yes, Sarvatra Anabhisneha Tat Tat Prapya Shubha Shubham. Na Abhinandati Nat Dvesti Tasya Prajna Pratisthita. When the Shubha, the auspicious, Ashubha, inauspicious comes, Na Abhinandati, he is not excited about it. Not dvesti, nor hates when something unpleasant comes. He is not excited when something auspicious comes, nor hates some inauspicious thing that comes in his way. Such a man's wisdom is steady. Now, next verse is, I told you there are some examples here. One of the most beautiful example is the next verse. Yada samharate chayam kurmonganiva sarvashah indriyani indriyartheshu tasya prajna pratisthita. Last two verses, dukkha and sukha as effect, shubha ashubha as causes. When they reach you, how do you respond? Now, here they don't reach, you are moving. And when you are moving, you find something not conducive to your own spiritual living. Some unpleasant scenes, unpleasant sounds. How do you behave? Yada samharate chayam kurmonganeva sarvashah indriyani indriyarthebhyah tasya prajna pratisthitah. When a tortoise has the capacity to move in water and also on land. This enlightened man can live as a spiritual man, absorbed in the spirit, also move in the world. He can be alone. He can also move in the world. When alone, no dangers. When he is moving, there may be several dangers, several things not conducive to his level of spirituality. Tortoise can be in water. Water, it is safe. When land, children can throw pebbles, stones. When it's moving, how does it behave? It pulls all its limbs onto the shell, and with the security of the shell, it is not affected. So also, this Gnani, when he is in himself, he is happy. When he moves in the world, when something unconducive happens, he pulls the mind from those perceptions. Eyes seeing, ears hearing, takes off the mind from that, diverts the mind to the self. That is, like the tortoise pulls off its limbs, the mind, unto the shell, he pulls off all his senses and the mind together under the protection of the self. under the protection of the self. That is where this beautiful example is given, how you should behave when you are moving in the society, when you see things that are not conducive to your temperament or hear things. You should withdraw your mind from that and try to divert your mind uh, on the truth or on God. यदा संहरते चायं कूर्माङ्गानीव सर्वशः इन्द्रियाणि इन्द्रियार्थेभ्यः तस्य प्रज्ञा प्रतिष्ठिता. And when a person withdraws from this type of things, Vishaya vinivartante niraharasya dehinah rasavarjam rasopyasya param društva nivartate. When a man withdraws his mind from unconducive things, after some time, those things themselves recede because he has no interest. Only when you have vasanas, you get them. When you have withdrawn, you have no vasanas, they won't even come to you because you encounter the world for which you have the vasanas. As Swamiji says, your friends come, whenever they come, if they know you are a smoker, they will bring a carton of cigarettes when they are coming from foreign. When you say, I have stopped smoking, then they won't bring. So also, as long as you have vasanas, you are turning towards the senses. They try to disturb you. When you have withdrawn the mind from them, they no more trouble you at all. And also there, in the beginning, you may withdraw physically, but mentally there can be a taste. But when you are established in the bliss of the self, even that mental inkling vanishes. Even that mental inkling vanishes. Vishya vinivartante niraharasya jehinah rasavarjam rasopyasya param društva nivartate. Yatato hepi kaunteya purushasya vipassita indriyani pramadhini haranti prasabham manah. Tane sarvani samyamya yukta asita matparah vashehi yasyendriyani tasya prajna pratisthita. Even though sincerely struggling, even an intelligent man, these senses are so turbulent because you have fed them a number of lives. Those vasanas have come a number of lives. Therefore, they are so turbulent, they drag your mind out. Your mind wants to withdraw, but the senses drag them out. So, you have to be careful, vigilant, and alert. Tane sarvani samyamya. You pull them back. How will you do? Mat paraha. When you keep me, Godhood, divinity, God as the goal. So here comes bhakti. Sense control earlier discussed. Now here bhakti. Only through devotion, only through holding on to God, you will be able to withdraw your mind from disturbing multiple factors. Tane sarvani samyamya yukta asita matparah vashehi yasyendriyani tasya prajna pratisthita. One who is focused to God, the truth, the self, such a man's mind doesn't run after senses, his wisdom is steady. A very simple example for this. Even a sensuous man, when he goes to temple or meets his guru, at that time his mind will not entertain sensuous thoughts. So therefore, when your mind is in God, sense control becomes easy. Now the whole mechanism, how the senses pull you down, fall of man, how you have to lift up, rise of man, is the next few verses which we shall take on Wednesday. Okay. Om Purnamadaha Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vasishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om Sri Guru Bhyo Namaha. Harihi Om. Thank you. God bless you all.
Thank you, Uncle. Hari Om.
Thank you, Uncle.